Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post of Parashat Yisro is titled The Bystander Effect. In 1970, Latani and Dali developed this model to explain the bystander effect. What determines whether there are people that will be a bystander in the cases of an emergency? They will see somebody in danger or at risk, and they will remain passive. And they suggested a 5-stage cognitive decision-making process. Number 1 is to notice the event. Number 2 is to interpret it as an emergency. Number 3 is to assume responsibility. 4 is a sense of competency that you're able to help. And 5 is to put it into action and to come to the person's aid. This model has come under some criticism, whether it's true or not. Some researchers suggested that the defining variable is the level or the severity of the situation that will determine whether a person will come to another person's aid rather than the actual decision-making process. But we can take this model of the bystander effect and we can see the process, and we can use it to explain in a way how there are some people that will remain passive in certain situations. They will see something, hear something, they will remain passive as a bystander, and other people, it will spur them into action. And we can look at this in this week's parasha with the first pasuk, which says, Vayishma Yisro. That Yisro heard. And there are different mafarshim that explain what did Yisro hear. Rashi is saying that it was the Kriyas Yamsuf and the war with Amalek. In general, we get this impression that he heard about the miracles that happened in Mitzrayim. He heard about Kriyas Yamsuf, Yetzias Mitzrayim, and it spurred him into action. He left his position as Kayam Midian and he came to join the Bnei Yisrael. But we can ask that the whole world knew what had happened. The whole world heard about it. As the Ramban in Parshas Bo says, that the Makris were not just as a means to bring the Bnei Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, but it was a sign to the whole world to show the power and the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Everyone knew about it, but Yisro and Yisro alone was the one that came. And that's as Rashi says. We have this week's parasha, Yisro, from the Lashon Yeter, extra. That Yisro's actions, his behavior, to leave his position, to come to join the Bnei Yisrael, deserves recognition and was given an extra parasha that we have of Parshas Yisro in his name. That he and he alone overcame this process of the bystander effect. Everybody else remained passive, but he came to join the Bnei Yisrael. As the Gemara in Zvachim, quoted by Rashi, says, Ma Shemua Shama Uba. What did he hear? Not just what did he hear, Uba, and he came. Everybody heard about it. Yisro heard about it, but the significant point is that Uba, and he came. He was the one that was able to reach this point in the decision-making process of the bystander effect and put it all into action and to come. We can see that from the first stage, he noticed, he heard about it, just like everybody heard about it. But number 2 was to interpret it as not necessarily as an emergency, but that was important. It was significant. Number 3 is to assume responsibility. The pasuk says not only that Yisro heard about what happened to the Bnei Yisrael, but what happened to Moshe and the Bnei Yisrael. Moshe being his son-in-law, there was a sense of personal significance, personal connection, and a family connection. And we can see that that it helped him or led him to take on a sense of responsibility. He could see how it related to him as well, that he should do something. Fourthly, there is a sense of competency, that he has something to contribute, that he can help. As we said, the pasuk highlights that he was Kohen Midian, he was a leader in Midian, and he left his place, and he came to help the Bnei Yisrael, to be part of the Bnei Yisrael. And in this very parasha, he comes and we see how he starts to implement changes. He gives what we could say as leadership advice, how they should set up the judicial system to try to decrease the load on Moshe Rabbeinu. That there should be a judicial system of a hierarchy of different judges. So we see there is also a sense of that he can give advice, a sense of competency. And finally, he put it into action, as we said, Uba, and he came. He reached this final level of being able to come to another person's aid, to be spurred into action, and to come to join the Bnei Yisrael. And there are 3 processes suggested that contribute towards the bystander effect. Number 1 is a diffusion of responsibility. That if you're with other people, there's a sense of anonymity, that there are other people, a diffusion of responsibility. You don't need to do anything. Somebody else can do something if they want to. I'm just going to remain passive. But Yisro, even though he could say the whole world knew about it, the whole world heard about it, he came. Secondly is a evaluation apprehension. There's a sense of a fear, perhaps, or concern about what other people will think. He was the leader of Midian. What would other people say? He was leaving his position, leaving the position he had in Midian to come to join the Bnei Yisrael. He wasn't worried about what other people would say. He wasn't worried about the evaluation. And thirdly, there's pluralistic ignorance. That you base your actions are determined about what other people, based on other people's actions. You can look around, and if nobody else is doing anything, then it gives you a sense of ignorance. I don't need to do anything because nobody else is doing anything. And Yisro, when he was not subject to this third process as well, this psychological process, he didn't look around and think, well, nobody's doing anything. He was the one that came, and he was the one that came to join the Bnei Yisrael, and that's why he deserves this extra parasha of Parshas Yisro for overcoming this bystander effect. Have a great Shabbos and keep well.